Hello and welcome you all again in this lecture of business communication. In the previous lecture, we have discussed the meaning and guidelines of drafting meeting reports. After that, we have also studied the meaning, features and guidelines of drafting press report. Then, we have seen the meaning, uses and drafting of office memo, and at the end we have understand the meaning, occasions and drafting of office orders. Now, in this lecture, we are going to study the meaning, uses, drafting of office circulars. Then we will study the meaning, uses, types, difference between form memo and form letter. After that, we will study drafting of form memos or form letter, and lastly we will understand the introduction of press release. Then we will study meaning of press release. After that, we will study characteristics and drafting of press release. Now let us see the meaning of office circulars. So friends, whenever in an office a matter is to be communicated to a large number of persons or departments or offices, members or branches of the same organization, the same is done through the circulars. The circulars is in the form of a letter addressed to all offices, to all branches or to all departments, and is drafted in such way that the information is useful and understandable to all the concerned. That is why a circular is drafted very carefully so that it covers up all information and is correctly written or typed. It is written in third person or printed depending upon the coverage. Office circulars are formal in nature for disseminating information to a large number of employees within the organization. Since it is an internal communication, therefore it has traditionally to be brief and business like, formal and devoid of salutation. Now let us understand the uses of circulars. So the first use of circular is internal communication. Friends, any important official message can be easily communicated to employee within organization by the circulars. Second is circulated to many at one time. Common information can be disseminated to all employees or branches at single given time. Third use is official information. Office circulars are formal and official in nature, hence the content is official in nature and has to be implemented immediately. Next, fourth use of office circular is quick and speedy. Office circulars are quick to send, hence the content of circular reaches many employees at the same time. Fifth is importance. All office circular contain important matter for dissemination to the employees in the organization. Sixth is brief. Generally, all office circular are brief but of prime importance to employees and organization. Now let us see the occasions of office circulars. So the first is inviting application from employees for promotion or test or interviews. Second occasion is office circulars insisting punctuality of employees. Then third is informing employees about changes in working hours or lunch time. Then office circulars inviting suggestions for offline, manual or otherwise. Fifth is providing information of an event to be conducted in an organization for invitation and suggestion for the event. Next occasion is announcing bonus schemes or any other finance related benefits. Next occasion is office circular to warn employees against strike. Then next is to inform employees about the proper behavior and discipline in office or premises. Next is to inform of lack of cleanliness and workplace due to negligence of employee. And last is a office circular informing old furniture or any other items. Now let us understand the drafting of office circulars. So the first point is brief and precise. So, office circulars should be very brief and precise. The message sent should be short, but the message should be properly given. Second drafting point is clarity. Though office circulars has to be brief but yet free from ambiguous language, that means very simple language should be used. They should be clear and not confusing. Third is persuasive. Office circular should be persuasive but not pressurize the employees on any issue. Fourth is drafted in third person. Office circulars are written in third person as they are not personal letters. Next is simple language. The language in office circular should be simple, especially if it is addressed to lower level employees. The language should be straight, unambiguous, formal and simple. Next is no salutation. In office circular, there is no salutation. Office circulars are issued from head office to group of employees. Salutation like dear sir or respected sir or madam is not used. Then next is signatory. All office circulars should be signed by issuing authority as it is formal internal communication. And last point of drafting of office circular is complimentary clause. Though office circulars are formal but addressed to the employees within the organization, office circulars do not contain any complimentary clause like yours sincerely or yours faithfully. Now, let us understand the form memo or form letters. First, we will study the meaning of form memo or form letter. So, friends, a form memo is a printed letter containing the routine or repeated matter. Many companies provide memo pads for the exchange of short message among employees. Form memo are usually small because message expected are to be brief and simple. Form memo may have company's name printed on the top. Spaces are provided for date, sender's name and department. In the another side, a form letter is printed containing the routine matter like acknowledgement, reminder, follow-up, etc. The language of such form memo or form letter is stereotype and standardized. Form memo or form letter are drafted with few blank columns to be filled by hand or typed as the need, demand and requirement of the subject matter or person to be issued. A form letter or form memo is a standard correspondence which make it easier to get and give all pertinent information. It is impersonal letter or memo in a standardized format that may be sent to different people or large number of recipients, but the contents is routine in nature. Now let us understand the uses of form memo or form letter. So the first use is save time and energy. The energy taken for drafting and typing the complete letter or memo is saved. Only blanks are either filled by hand or typed and the letter serves the purpose. Hence, time and energy is saved and the monotonous work of typing the same matter is avoided. Next is accuracy. Form memo or form letter is daily checked and corrected after typing and before printing. Hence, there are no chances of mistakes. So, these are the accurate. Then quick and fast. Form letter or memo is very quick to send as it obviates the necessity of drafting and typing the complete letter. Next is economical. Form letter or form memo are useful as they are economically because they reduce the overall cost of letter writing and printing is cheaper. Then last, routine matter. It is very useful to send reply to routine matters without wasting much time. Letters like acknowledgement, reminders, etc. can be sent. Now, let us see the difference between form memo and form letter. So, the first difference is it is essential to write official designation, department with or without the name of sender and the recipient on a form memo, but it is not necessary in case of a letter. Then second difference is the word form and to, the word from and to are invariably written in a form memo but not in a form letter. Third difference is there is no salutation and the complimentary clause in a form memo, but the same are essentially written in a form letter. And last is the memo is written in a direct style and is brief as far as possible, and that may not be the case with the normal but in case of form letters. Now next point is drafting of form memos or form letters. So the first is heavy initial cost. So heavy initial cost is involved for printing the form memo or form letters. Hence the form letters or form memo should be carefully drafted to avoid losses. Second is formal languages. Form letters may be sent within or outside the organization. Form memo are for correspondence within the organization. Whatever the purpose or whether it is internal or external correspondence, the language used while drafting should be straight, formal and simple. Third is brief. While drafting form memo or letters, care should be taken that as they are routine in nature, they should be short and not lengthy. Next is candid. While drafting, care must be taken that the content is accurate and free from distortion and omission. Next is enough space for filling blanks. While drafting form memos or letters, care is to be taken that enough space is left to fill the blanks, as this correspondence is drafted to fill in the blanks. Later, enough space should be left for filling the blanks. Next is clarity and grammatically correct. So, care should be taken while drafting form letters and memo letters that the contents is written clearly and it is grammatically correct. Next is long and wordy sentence. While drafting these correspondence, long and overly wordy sentences should be avoided. Next is state the purpose in subject line. As these correspondence are of routine nature, the purpose in subject line should be clearly stated so that much time is not spent on the reader. Now let us understand the meaning of press release. Friends, issuing a press release is primarily an exercise in public relations. Organizations issue them on several occasions. It may be a part of an effort at image building. Alternatively, product information may be offered to the media for favor of publication. The press release may be sent to disseminate information about a seminar to be held, a large order which has been bagged, a senior level corporate appointment, the profit earned during the last financial year, collaborations, diversification into new areas, joint ventures with other partners and so on. Press releases are usually sent to the various newspapers, electronic media like radio, television and to leading news agencies. Now, let us understand the characteristics of press release. So first characteristic is bold heading and subheading. Friends, a press release should be given suitable heading, and if the matter is too long, it should be divided into paragraph with subheadings. Next characteristic is dynamic new article. A press release should look like a dynamic new article. Next is contact information. The party publishing or receiving the article for press release may have to be contact the person sending the release in case extra information is required to make a story line. Next is professional writing. The press release should be written in a manner it is written by publishing house. It professionally written, editor will publish it without any changes. It should include name of company, address of company, date of event, key points about business, etc. Next is no spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. A press release should be free from spelling mistake and grammatical error. Next is keep it to the point. Don't play behind the bush. Don't rumble or use unnecessary words. Keep it to the point. And last characteristic is target your audience. The press release should be to the people it is intended. Now, let us understand the drafting of press release. So, first point of drafting of press release is grab attention with a good headline. So, the beginning of a press release is the most important. A strong headline will pull in journalists seeking good stories. Your headline should be as engaging as it is accurate. Second is get right to the point in the first paragraph. Because reporters are busy people, you must assume that they will only read the first sentence and then scan the rest, and even that's a generous assumption. Get the message of your press release out quickly. Every important point should be addressed in the first few sentences. Third is include hard numbers. It's easy to fill up a page with a creative, colorful narrative. Leave the artistry to the writers. Pack your press release with hard numbers that support the significance of your product or announcement. Next is make it grammatically flawless. Friends, proofread your press release and let a few other people proofread it as well before sending it out. Even a single mistake can dissuade a reporter from taking you seriously. Next is include quotes whenever possible. So there is a source of natural color that cannot be replicated. Quotes, including a good quote from someone in the company or close to the product or event, can give a human element to the press release as well as being a source of information in its own right. Next is include your contact information. So a common oversight that can render a press release ineffectual is a lack of contact information for reporters to follow up with. Whether you or someone else at the company is the point of contact, don't forget to include an email address and phone number on the press release. Seventh is on page is 1 page is best and 2 is the maximum. So as with most good writing, shorter is usually better. Limit yourself to 1 page, though 2 pages is acceptable. This will also force you to condense your most salient information into a more readable document, something journalists are always looking for. And last drafting of press releases provide access to more information. So you must limit your press release to 1 page But that doesn't mean you can't show people how to learn more. Providing relevant links to your company's website where prospective writers can learn more about your mission and what you have already accomplished is a crucial element to the release. Don't make writers search on their own for more information. Guide them as quickly as possible to your website and keep their interest piqued. Here we are stop this lecture. Thank you.